Alright, budget magic time. Mono blue fairies in modern. And this is pretty reasonable. Got some flash creatures backed up by counter spells. That's basically our deck. So island, fairy miscreant, go. So we have yet to draw a card off fairy miscreant. But it is a fairy, powers up our other fairies, benefits from our fairy lords. Mountain for our opponent. Well, island, get in for 1. Only 20 more turns. Pass the turn. Is this a burn deck? Mountain. Mog War Marshal. Alright, let's just remand that. Another island. Another quick. Alright, let's get in for 1 with our miscreant. Island, and so this has got to be goblins. Let's stop on our opponent's upkeep and Pestermite to tap down a mountain. Opponent's going to bolt it. Yeah, all the red cards on Moto are like red-green cards at the moment. Not going to untap their mountain. Now we got a bolt out of their hand. Opponent has another mountain. War Marshal. Fair enough. Scion is pretty sweet. Well, let's get in with Fairy Miscreant. And let's just pass, see what our opponent does. Do they pay for War Marshal? They do not. Gets in for 1. Plays another land. So down to 19. And passes? That is very suspicious. We get another mana leak. Well, let's get in with Fairy Miscreant. And pass the turn. Hopefully we'll be able to get this Scion down at some point. Another land for our opponent. Gets in for 2. Mog Fanatic is annoying. Alright, let's mana leak it. And mana leak it. Mana leak's not going to do much else. Opponent passes. Ooh, another miscreant. Alright, let's Fairy Miscreant. Draws us a card. Quickling. Pick up the Summoning Sick Miscreant. And then replay the Miscreant. Draw another card. Ooh, another Miscreant. Our miscreants are finally paying off. Get in for 1. Miscreant combo deck. When it untaps. Another mountain. Goblin Chieftain. And devastating summons. Interesting. Well, we are going to block and kill the Chieftain. Alright, Miscreant, draw a card, land, and now we just pass, actually get in with 1 Miscreant, stop on our opponent's upkeep, and Misbind click, champion the tapped Miscreant, tap our opponent's lands. Mountain for our opponent. Go swinging with everything. Well, let's block and... we don't want to lose to double Goblin Grenade. Let's block and block like that. Take 2. Kill one of the tokens. Opponent passes. Well, let's... Miscreant. Draw a card. Ooh, Vapor Snag is pretty sweet. Get in for 4. And... ooh. Should we just Scion here? Yeah, let's not Scion yet. Put our opponent to 10. Pass back. Opponent untaps. Goes attacking. Well, block. and block. And then Scion of Una to pump our Miscreants. And then Vapor Snag, the token. And our opponent needs something pretty good to not die here. Alright, Devastating Summons. And we just attack for lethal. Sweet. Well, our opponent drew a lot of lands, but we still kind of tempoed them out. Well, Echoing Truth seems insane against their Devastating Summons. Dragon's Claw seems good. And what do we not want? Let's go down Fairy Imposter. Remand also seems good against Devastating Summons. I think we need all our creature bouncing stuff. Maybe a Click and a Quickling? And try it like that. If they're sacking all their lands, Click doesn't seem that great. Alright. This is fine-ish. Foundry Street for our opponent. Island Goo. Our deck isn't great at blocking our opponent's stuff. That is very true. Legion Loyalist. Also pretty obnoxious. And Loyalist. The first strike is going to make blocking even more tricky. Does not attack with a Loyalist. Interesting. Well, that's pretty close to the nut draw for 8-whack. And there's Bushwhacker. So we are going to be pretty close to dead. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, good draw for our opponent. Especially being on the play. On the draw, it would have been a little better for us. Because we could have spell stuttered something. But we got to run a spell stutter out there. Ghost Quarter, pass the turn. We are likely dead. Lightning Bolt, well, we might as well spell stutter it. If these things didn't all get first strike, it would be much better. But they do. Which means we're in the dead to a burn spell range. Down to 3. And second bolt. Alright. Well, that's the Goblin nuts, pretty much. Triple 1-drops, including Foundry Street, into a Bushwhacker. Especially being on the play. That's a very good hand from the deck. Alright, we get to play first. Alright, not absurd, but we do have a Dragon's Claw. And some counters. So Fairy Conclave, go. Our opponent has the Foundry Street that they want. Well, I think we just land and Dragon's Claw. We aren't going to really remand anything great this turn anyway. Probably the worst would be a Pile Driver. War Marshal is not the worst. So we get to gain a life. Our opponent gets to hit us for 3. We are going to need to draw into lands. Alright, we take 3. Land? Not a land. Alright, unfortunately that means we have to pass and leave up counters. We really wanted to land there. War Marshal goes away. Pumps up Foundry Street. Land for our opponent. And gets in 4-3. And passes. Ugh, still not a land. Alright. Well, we gotta pass. Problem is we're just gonna be dead to burn spells. Legion Loyalist. Pretty bad for us. Alright. Picks up the pace on the clock. Gives everything first strike. Down to 11. Opponent passes. Jeez. Still not a land. Alright, pass the turn. This is... well, yeah. This is pretty much the end. We needed the third land to really start playing Magic. Opponent lightning bolts for 2 damage since we have the Dragon's Claw. And Bushwhackers, well, man, Remand is risky because if they have another land, but Remand also, we need the lands. We gotta counter it. We're still pretty dead though. 4 down to 6. And Goblin grenades us down to 2. Yeah, we are very dead. Well, there's a land. It just took us way too long. Well, Fairy Miscreant, go. Oh, yeah. Well, I think we can beat this deck, especially on the play. Vapor Snag the token. I mean, we gotta be dead to a burn spell here. Guess I probably should have done that before attacks. But we're dead anyway. There's no real way of getting back into this. Oh, man. Alright. Well, that's the variance of Magic.